angels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. Hey, guess what, everybody? I am here live with PK. We're in the same room. It's double trouble tonight.
You better believe it. Hang on, Joe. We haven't finished yet.
We apologize for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, but we're so happy to be live with you right now, and it's a thrill. This is my first time working with you, PK, live in person.
Live in person for sure.
This is great fun.
I promise I'm going to let you live.
Oh. Well, thank God for that.
Yes.
I work really hard at living.
I know you do. And you do it beautifully.
Oh, you do too. Yes. Now, you flew in from Tucson yesterday.
Got in at 9:30 last night.
And it was freezing here.
According to me, it was.
It was. It was in the 50s. My gosh, what a change for you.
That's all right. She gave me 6 blankets on the bed. I felt like I was looking for the pee under the mattresses.
Oh. I know. That's a big change from 120 in the shade.
You got that right.
Yeah. Well, I'm so
really
glad you're here.
This is
so exciting. And we've got a great guest tonight. We're going to bring him on shortly.
Do.
He is a healing miracle, this man.
And thank God, because he's got a lot of work to do between the two of us.
I know it. Don't we know it? And our audience is dying to hear from him because he knows things. We've been talking. Right. We have been talking. And everybody, you got to be prepared to push the envelope tonight. We're going to hear things you have never heard before.
Definitely.
Definitely. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Now, we have some great stories on our Facebook page tonight, everybody.
Yes, we do.
So make sure you go to Supernatural Girls on Facebook. Give us a like. Follow us. You will be sure to get all the latest and greatest paranormal news. So be sure to sign up for the Fringe Files on supernaturalgirls.com so that you can get all the latest news and be informed. Now, oops, I'll put down something I needed tonight. You're going to learn about true healing, okay?
Right.
Now, there's healing with traditional medicine,
right,
which we all know about.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have with that is medication or surgery and lots of side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So what is true healing? Well, we have a real healer with us tonight, Chris Kehler. He is a quantum energy practitioner healer who specializes in finding the troubled areas in the body and the stressors within that area by using the pendulum and chart method of dowsing. So he began taking courses in different modalities, and he found great success in dowsing, radionics, healing with metaphysical tools, quantum touch, muscle testing, and live blood analysis. So he learned that working with universal energies, one must think not just outside the box, I love this, but way outside the box. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Stuff that you've never heard before, and we're going to get started right now. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Patricia, PK, thank you for having me on. Wonderful to finally be here.
Yay, we all did it.
Yay, that you're here.
You had quite a journey.
It's been a journey.
Through, the corporate world and printing and all of those wonderful things, and then you made a big change. Why the change? Why get into healing?
I don't know. The old saying goes, one door closes, another door opens. And I was in the printing industry for 28 years. My first wife, unfortunately, passed away of a rare disease called scleroderma. When that happened, I was able to then retire from printing. So at 47 years old, I decided to take some time off and basically stumbled into this whole world of energy healing and all its different spin-offs of modalities. And I really found it quite interesting because I picked it up so quickly. I met a lot of people who do this type of work, started off with muscle testing, taking some courses in that. And then I met some people who work with sacred geometry, using pendulum and different ways of obtaining an answer and to delve into what's causing a health problem within somebody. When I started off doing this work, I had no idea it's going to take me where it has, and it's a beautiful thing. They say the rabbit hole is deep. This is one deep rabbit hole.
It really is, because you've been finding things that I've never heard of before. I mean, I've heard of entity attachment and things like that, but you're finding things beyond that. Now, let's start with curses, because you're saying they're real.
100%. Curses can be very simple. Let's say you get up every morning, you look in the mirror and say, I'm never going to get out of this crummy job. You've just cursed yourself. You're never going to get out of this crummy job. The energies are going to set themselves up to say, okay, if that's what you want, that's what you get. And then you can go all the way into family curses. Let's take the Hatfields and the McCoys, let's say. There is always feuding going on, so there's always some kind of curse involved. An example would be if the firstborn of each part of your family has some kind of severe health problem, there's a firstborn curse within that part of the family. Just a negative thought can create a curse, and then curses can get right into the very deep of things as far as an entity, an extraterrestrial, a reptilian can put curses on you. They're very, very big into witchcraft and curses.
Really? So we can expect to get that not just from people down in New Orleans in the big voodoo trade, but actually from extraterrestrials. They're into it too?
Yeah.
I know it.
It's all intent. Everything is intent. If you have the connections energetically with different sides of the universe, you can actually cause something to happen. That happens through jinn, through archons, these spirits that are around us that influence us on a daily basis. If I wanted to put a curse on somebody, I would put the intent out there, and then one of these spirit beings would put it into action.
Wow.
How do you guarantee that type of thing taking place or not taking place?
It's all proof in the pudding. I'll give you an example. I did work on somebody who said, okay, Chris, show me this crazy stuff you do. And it was an uncle of my wife's. And I said to him, what kind of issues do you have? He says, every night before I go to bed, and only before I go to bed, I get a pain between the shoulder blades on my back. And I can't sleep at night. I wake up in the morning and it's gone. So every night is like this. So I did some dowsing and I found he has a voodoo curse on him. And he looked at me and he says, that darn ex-wife of mine, she gave me something. Okay, so, yes. So I moved the curse off of his body and I returned it to sender. Okay, it's perfectly fine to do that. If somebody's going to send it to you, you can give it back. I don't want this gift. You may have it back. So I sent it back to her, and he reported back to me in a few weeks that he's been doing fantastic, but his ex-wife is doing terrible.
Wow. So there you have it. And was it an actual voodoo curse? I mean, did she get into voodoo and do this? Is that what you found?
We give things names. There's voodoo, there's hexes, there's all these different names, or let's say categories of negative energy. So what she may have done is taken a picture of him and stuck a pin in the back of it.
Wow. So these curses are real. No
100%.
doubt about it. Now, how does somebody know they have a curse versus just a crappy life?
Good point.
If you got a crappy life, you most likely have some kind of curse, some kind of intent that is causing your life to be crappy. If you are always, let's say, getting into bad relationships where there's abuse, if you're always getting into jobs that you don't succeed in, if you're always getting into the same rut, the same squirrel cage, that usually means that there is some type of energy that's causing this to happen, and it normally does boil down to a curse. One of the biggest curses I find, of course, are debt curses, where no matter what you do to make money, there's always a way that you lose that money. So easy come, easy go. It is a form of a curse.
Can a person give something of energy and of uplifting to? Is that, can you curse them in a positive way is what I'm trying to say?
Let's call it a blessing.
Okay. That's a good idea. Can we do that equally?
Oh, we do this every day. Every day.
I'm missing something. Wait a minute. We got to chat about this again.
We need more blessings, less curses. How's that?
Definitely. Does the different stones you were talking about, pendulums and whatever, I have a chain right now that has a crystal on it. Can this be used to enhance or detract from someone?
Different stones have different purposes, and I think that whoever you talk to, they might have an opinion on what that stone does. Ultimately, most stones don't do a lot, because most stones, unless you put an intent into it to do what it's supposed to do, it's just a stone. Okay, so if you take that stone and hold it and say, protect me, it just might protect you to a certain level. Our belief system in stones, I use one stone and one stone only. It's called a mondolite. Its structure is an iron quartz, and it's the rarest stone on the planet. It works specifically within deep areas of the soul, and that's where we work when we're doing the clearings, is through the soul into the physical and etheric bodies. Dowsing-wise, I use an organite created by a colleague of mine. He makes his own organite, and he's created a pendulum that never needs clearing. That is more so what I use when I'm doing my dowsing.
Now, the one you mentioned before, would you tell us the name of that again?
It's called mondolite.
Mondolite.
Never heard
Mondolite, yeah.
Either.
Yeah.
It's very rare, only because nobody can get a permit to mine it. They found it within a mountain in the Sahara Desert, and I was fortunate enough to acquire a few pieces of it. They're very expensive, but they have some very, very interesting properties.
What country is it mined? Or should it be mined?
Sahara Desert, so it's in Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That is something. Mondolite.
Yes. You have to remember that.
Go on safari for mondolite.
Yeah, we're going to have to look for that. Wow. Incredible. Well, one of the things that I wanted to get into on the show tonight is also to share my experience with you, Chris, because it was remarkable. You were kind enough to help me because I have the same disease that your wife died from. Scleroderma, which is deadly, and it is painful and nasty. And I've been lucky enough to meet people like you that are willing to reach out and help me. And we found some interesting stuff when you were working with me. But I want to tell everybody, it was such a powerful experience, because as soon as you started beginning the dowsing technique to find out what it was that needed to be cleared, I felt this incredible energy come over me right away. I mean, just with the dowsing part of the experience. So there's a lot of energy that comes out of you when you connect with your patient, just at the very beginning. And I'm sure other people have told you that too, right?
Oh, yes, indeed. What happens is, as soon as we make a connection, energies are connected. We're plugging into each other. And that's what you felt, is the connection between our consciousness, our subconscious, our souls connect, so I can read you successfully.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yes. He's amazing. He's
I'm
amazing.
second.
Yeah.
My turn next.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. Well, I've already had people calling, wanting to know about you. How can people find you on the internet?
My website is chriskehler.net, KEHLER.net. I'm also on YouTube. If you go to my website, at the bottom of the page, you can click on Facebook or YouTube, and it'll take you right to those addresses.
So you do individual sessions. Do you also teach what you do?
A while back, some people asked me, do I teach what I do? I was like, no, I don't. And somebody said, well, maybe you should. So I started kind of looking into how I could go about it. Just took everything that I was doing with my chart system. It took me about 6 months to digitize it. Got it digitized. I created some books that are very easy to read and started offering it. And now we're at, I think, about 47 people who have bought the course as of late. Someone in Hong Kong, Vienna, Austria. I have a few students in India, Czechoslovakia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, Amsterdam, many in the States. So it's taking off. People are doing very well with it. And what I did is I designed the whole system, number one, so I can understand it and follow it, but also so that anybody else who's interested in it can easily follow the flow of the chart system. The biggest thing with dowsing, especially with a pendulum, is doubt. So I call it doubting. If you have doubt, you're doubting. Yeah. So what I've done is found some ways to confirm the answers. People are really starting to settle into it and say, hey, you know what? I can do this. And as long as you got some kind of connection with a pendulum, or for that matter, you can use muscle testing with it. It doesn't have to be a pendulum. You can ask questions, get the answers, and then you use the sacred geometry to change the energy. And almost immediately, we witness this, Patricia, is that things can happen. Things can change quite quickly.
And they did. And I see there's a question in the chat room from Kimmy says, asking me to talk about what happened, and I will indeed. We're coming up on a break in a couple of minutes. So, Kimmy, I promise I will talk about all of this and share my healing experience with the audience when we come back from the break. And in the meantime, anybody who has a question, you can write it in the chat room at irnchat.com, irnchat.com, and we'll be happy to ask your question to Chris on your behalf. And my gosh, we've got so much to cover. I mean, there's a lot to this healing process that you offer. And again, things I never heard of, names I've never heard before, sons of Lucifer that are attaching themselves to people. And when you call them out, they leave. So it's been amazing watching what you do, Chris. And I know people around the world have benefited tremendously from your healing technique. It's very different from anything we've ever seen before, and we're so grateful to have you on the show tonight. So we promise we're going to get to all this good stuff tonight, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up close and personal to find out all about this, Chris.
That's right. So anyways, we are ready to take a very short break, everybody. Make sure you stay tuned because we're coming right back to this very important guest and very important show. You are listening to Supernatural Girls Radio. We'll be right back.
You didn't forget what's coming up tonight, did you? Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Never miss that interview you were looking forward to or the show on your favorite topic. Follow IRN on Twitter, I_R_N, and get reminders about the evening's live shows as well as fun and important updates throughout the week. That's I_R_N, and never miss a great show again.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and I'm sitting here with my dear friend and co-host live from Tucson and here in the Berkshires.
How about that?
Okay.
You brought me here to cool off.
I did. So we are back here with our incredible guest, healer extraordinaire.
That he is.
Chris Kehler. So here we are, Chris. Now, we have a couple of questions coming in. They want to know about the healing I had with you, which I promise I will talk about. But there's other questions also. Heather is asking, does Chris believe he has an inherent gift that he simply learned to master?
I mean, that's a good question. In past lives, this may have been going on. That I don't know. I know that in this lifetime right now, there was some kind of intervention where it literally pushed me into a doorway of a place that does this type of work, where I thought, for some reason, I have to go in that place and see what's going on. And that's where it all started. So I know that there had to be some kind of intervention, mainly because of my life experiences leading up to all this. I look back at them and say, everything I've done in my past, in this lifetime, has prepared me for this in certain ways. The consciousness that I contact with, I'm connecting directly with Source, getting answers, getting thoughts, getting everything I need to know to help people on a daily basis. And the big question I've been asking is about all of these rare diseases like scleroderma, ALS, elemental P, all these different rare diseases. So I know that there's got to be somebody up there who says, I think this guy can do it, and I need to prove them. And we're trying to do that on a daily basis.
Well, what's so great about you, Chris, is you don't have any limits in the way you think about illness and disease. So you're open to all these other possibilities about what's behind it and what's causing it from an energetic standpoint. So you talked about, now let's see, I mentioned Satan's son, and yeah, he was around, wasn't he? And so you said you're seeing him a lot in people's energy, attaching themselves. Talk about that. People want to know about that. They're asking about that in the chat room.
When I'm doing this work, the way that I do it is by identification. If you identify something as to what it is, its given name or its species, there's a law in the universe that says if you identify it and tell it to leave, it has to leave. So that's the basis of my work, is not just saying, oh, entity, leave. I actually get down to what it is. Is it reptilian? Is it extraterrestrial? Is it satanic? What is it? And the big entity of the day, the entity du jour, is his name is Chi-Sun, X-I-S-U-N. And this has been identified as the son of Lucifer. Okay, so if you take the polarities between source and darkness, you put personification to it. Well, there's Lucifer, there is Source, and they all have sons. Okay, I guess they get around. I don't know, but ultimately, this has been brought to me to remove Chi-Sun from people, and that's what I do, and we get results. Chi-Sun seems to be the cork in the bottle. You get the cork out of the bottle, you can empty it out and find everything else.
Wow. Okay. So
what can they do themselves to help work on this?
If you're somebody who practices a modality, and if you make any kind of intent, make the intent that Chi-Sun leaves your body. Chi-Sun, please leave my body and go to ether. Chi-Sun, please leave my body, go get me a loaf of bread. You tell it to leave, you might feel a shift of energy, a coolness, you might feel a shudder, you might feel an uplifting. When I'm telling something to leave, I'm using not just my thought, my will, and my intent, I'm also using sacred geometry to take that intent and magnify it immensely.
Now, somebody's asking in the chat room, are you religious?
No. I was brought up a strict Mennonite in the Mennonite community, which is kind of like Amish. Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh. We have Mennonites here in this area. Yeah.
Yeah, I was brought up that way.
Surprised.
A lot of people
got
are.
out.
I got out. My father was one of 12 kids. My mom was one of 17 kids in farmland in Manitoba here. Even when I was a young kid going to church, I felt I didn't want to be there. I just felt so uncomfortable. I'd find ways to get out of it. I'll stay home and clean the house all day, Mom. Just don't make me go to church. And they're like, why don't you want to go to church? I mean, the whole family's there. Everybody's there. I just felt so uncomfortable. So religious, no. Spiritualist, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It does. Well, the Mennonite community, at least here, it really indoctrinates their people. I mean, they're not allowed to watch television or have electronic devices, and the kids aren't. So the fact that you broke out the way you did is quite incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an Amish-type community, but it was very, very religious faith. The men always ate first when it came dinner time.
I was going to say.
So there was a lot of that. Back to the homeland for family reunions, my relatives ask me what I'm doing now, and I tell them, they go, oh, may God have mercy on your soul. I says, oh, he does every day. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But it's a very staunch, set paradigm that they live in. That is just something I needed to break out of. I needed to get to a more broader type of spiritualism.
And that's amazing what you do. Now, here's another question. This is from Starlight, who's asking, can you explain the process of the quantum touch healing technique?
Well, quantum touch is something I did take a course in just so I could learn what energy feels like and experience it in a different way. And quantum touch is just touching a person on the back or wherever they're having an issue, and it's breathing, a lot of breathing. So you're basically envisioning taking energy up from the core of the earth through your body and then out your hands, and that's where the energy comes from. So it's more of a hands-on form of healing with a breathing technique.
Okay. So I've been asked to share about what happened when you worked on me. And you did find a number of things, a number of entities that had become attached. The first time that you worked on me, you released a lot of that, and curses as well. I was cursed. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I can now that you mention it.
So you removed that, and then as you know, I'm a dream analyst, and that night I had a dream that something, again, it was like this black, oily type of thing, tried to grab onto me again. And I mentioned that to you. Does that happen a lot, that when you remove something, it tries to come back?
It certainly can. And if it's something that has laid property to you, has laid claim to you, it might take a few hits to really get rid of this thing at different levels. Sometimes we have to clear it out of many different levels of your body, different places, in order for it to be completely gone. It could take a few sessions. So it is definitely possible that this thing may try and reach back and attach to you again.
So the basic sessions that you had to release the negativity or the curses or what have you, how do you feel as those things are moving or going through the body?
You know, it's interesting. It's a great question, PK, because what I felt was this incredible lightness of being, and I felt like I was being given more room. You know, it's like, it's an interesting disease, scleroderma, because it makes you feel constricted in every way. They say it's a disease that turns you into stone. So if you think of that, it's all about restriction. It's kind of like squeezing the life right out of you. And that's the way I've experienced it. But when you worked on me, it felt like it was creating space. It was removing these things that didn't belong. Whatever they were, wherever they were from, didn't even matter to me. I just wanted them gone. And Chris is so powerful, you know, and he makes them leave.
Fabulous.
Feel it leave. So you feel this lightness, you feel this room that you didn't have before. And it was amazing. It was a very, very powerful experience. And then another thing that happened. Now, this I found fascinating because, as you know, I was a psychotherapist for many years, and I feel strongly that any repressed memories can cause trouble. Can cause trouble not only emotionally and spiritually, but it can cause trouble physically. So it's really important to bring things to the surface, to bring things to light. And I've worked with many people in the UFO field, many abductees, many contactees, and there are a few psychic mediums that have told me, you are an abductee. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember anything like that happening. Yes, I've seen things in the sky, but I do not remember anything about being an abductee. And I'm thinking to myself, how could this be? With all the work I've done on myself, all of the dream work, all of the rebirth, all that, you name it, I've done it. I don't remember any of that. However, this was the kicker. When Chris worked on me, that night I had a dream that wasn't a dream, where I started to remember that, in fact, I was an abductee, and I started to remember the experience. It was not pleasant, and it all started to come back. Now, I have to say that from what I know about abductions and extraterrestrial technology, when they don't want you to remember something, they put a lock on your memory and you can't remember it, and that's it. So even people going through hypnosis sometimes have trouble recalling all the details of what happened to them. But Chris, your energy and the way you were removing these things was so powerful, it removed the lock. And I was able to remember. And I'm telling you, this has never, ever happened to me before, where I was able to actually get real memory back about this. So I would say that that was one of the most significant turning points for me in healing. Because, again, repressed memory causes tremendous turbulence. And this is finally coming to the surface, all because of the work you did.
When you told me that, I was blown away. It was real, an awesome, awesome clearing.
And this is able to be done without being in the same facility, same room?
Yes, exactly. I mean, we were just talking like
Fabulous.
This. And yes, and Chris did this very powerful work. Now, I will also share physically, I can now bend my fingers.
Oh.
Look at that.
Very
I
good.
can almost make a fist. I mean, with scleroderma, one of the first things that happens is your hands become very, very, very stiff, and they start to curl inward, and you don't have movement, and you don't have strength anymore. And again, look at that. I can now do this. It's
fabulous. My goodness
amazing,
gracious.
amazing.
So if I can share with everybody out there, yesterday we did a session.
Yes.
And what we found was Chi's son was in your skeletal system.
That son of a bitch was in my skeletal system. Can you believe it?
You can call
And
him
I
that, yeah.
did not invite him in. No.
No, so he was in your skeletal system killing bone cells, and these bone cells are running through your circulatory system, causing your body to turn to stone.
Incredible.
Isn't that
Incredible.
something?
We did is we removed the bone cell buildup from the veins and arteries, the capillaries and blood vessels, and then we started to heal the telomeres within the bone cell DNA so that they can recreate more bone.
That is fabulous.
It is incredible. Go ahead.
I was say, if you have an illness or something taking place within the body, we'll just say a hip degeneration. Working with that, can that build that back up?
100%.
No, boy, honey, I want your phone number.
I bet you say that to all the boys.
Amazing. You know, I think we forget how much is really available to us when we have key people like you, Chris, that's able to show us the way.
Yes.
Makes a big difference.
And you need that. You need that external perspective with somebody like Chris who has no limitations on the way he thinks about this. So that to him, when these thoughts come in that it's this horrible son of Satan or whatever, I mean, he doesn't dismiss it. He works with it. And that's the difference. So other people might go, oh, that's silly, or oh, that's, no, that's not, has nothing to do with it. But Chris works with it, and that's the difference.
When you're talking with someone like our conversation right now, do you pick up energy of the other, say anything around me when we're talking? Or
No.
do you have to set a set mood for people? What?
The way a session would work is that we would sit like this on Skype or the telephone. We would create a focus. I got bad hip, I got migraine headaches, da-da-da-da-da. We'd take down a few incidentals, maybe get some history. Does this happen with other women in your family? If so, then it could be a curse issue. Was there trauma? Was there damage? Did you go skiing and hit a tree? Something like that. We'll get some information. And then I'll start dowsing with my charts. I work with a letter chart, A to Z. I douse with it, and it spells things out for me, and it'll tell me exactly what is wrong. It'll tell me why the cartilage is deteriorating. It'll tell me if there's bone spurs or if there's shrapnel or anything like that. We'll remove all the negative energies and recreate a better harmonious environment energetically for your body to heal and to recuperate. And then just start making more intent to rebuild cartilage, to increase the synovial fluid. We add a lot of love. I'll just use the word love true. Within the system, I call it true quantum healing. If I want to add love into your heart, all I got to do is say heart, love, true, and now your heart is going to fill with energy. It's going to fill with love. And all of a sudden things get better, because what happens when you add love? It heals everything.
Ah,
that is true.
That's wonderful, because I think people think you have to be right there with you. And when you're connected with someone via phone, etc., that is like being right there with them.
It is. It's all vibration. You're sitting here right here with me. Hi, you're sitting right in my kitchen right now. It's energy, it's thought. It works at the speed of energy and thought, which is absolute. It's infinity. It goes so fast.
It does. It does.
Fabulous.
And it takes your limitless mind to be able to really do all of this. Now, there is another question here, and this is from, Denise Kress, who's asking, do most people have attachments of the lower vibrational level?
If you're walking this earth, you have an attachment of some kind, okay? No matter who you are, if you're the Pope, if you're Donald Trump, no matter who you are, if you're some famous yogi from India, you've got some kind of attachment. And it's some kind of attachment that you're not aware of because of what you do. The practice you do doesn't allow you to find that. Okay, so if you're a healer, if you're somebody who works very, very deeply in the energies, if it's not in your consciousness that this exists, you will never find it. You'll never know it's there because it's not in your consciousness.
Amazing. Sneaky little devils, aren't they?
No, they are. They're very sneaky. Now, let's see, there's another question. Kimmy is asking me, how did your healing with Chris compare to other healers you've worked with? I will tell you, Kimmy, that this is very different, and thinking outside the box, way outside the box, as Chris does, has made all the difference in the world. Now, I've worked with other healers, and they've all been helpful. I want to say that. Mm-hmm. They've all given me great gifts of love and care and incredible healing energy. But something is different with Chris, and I'm going to basically say the reason it's different with Chris is because he is truly limitless in the way that he approaches it. You can't heal, especially some of these very weird diseases like what I have and some of the others, the autoimmune conditions you mentioned, ALS and MS, etc., because they have so many tentacles. They have so many different components, and you have to be able to access anything at all times, basically. You've got to be able to look at it and really go further and deeper with it, and that's what Chris is good at. I hope that answers your question, Kimmy.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
You're very relatable, and you feel very comfortable around you. I don't know whether it's just the smile or just what, but there's that issue that feels very, very good, but also very warm.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, have you ever met an entity you couldn't get rid of?
Oh, yeah. If we go back, let's say a year, let me start by saying what's happening right now is there's something called the ascension that is happening. The ascension, the possibility of humans rising in consciousness, rising their vibration to a higher level where all of these lower, denser energies can't attach to you and cause trouble in your life. So if we go back about a year, Chi-Sun, Zeus, Lucifer, they were all very, very hard to tangle with. It would take multiple sessions in order to get rid of them, and they were very tough. They could hide very good, and it was basically a game of hunt and peck, hide and seek, trying to find these characters so that you can get rid of them. Now, we are so close to these higher energies now, it is a lot easier. Oh, there he is, get lost. Archons were very, very hard to find and to get rid of because they're so fast. So basically, my soul has had to catch up, become a lot faster to see these guys, hold them in their spot, and smoke them away. But, oh yeah, there have been some tough ones for sure.
Geez, where did they come from? It's really, it's again, some of these names that you came up with were names I had never heard before.
No, Chi-Sun.
Yeah.
My first one to ask, is he Oriental?
Yeah, I know. Is he an Oriental entity?
Not that I know of. The name is brought to me, and that's what I use. Is it Oriental? It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just an identification.
We have more of an affinity for certain things, and we can be drawn more towards it simply by having a feel-good with certain names or certain vibrations.
Well, yeah, we might let something in, not realizing how bad it is.
That's true. A lot of people use the Ouija board, not realizing that's going to take you down to the second dimension.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh.
No, that's a complete no-no as far as I'm concerned.
No. Now, here's a question for you, and this is, let's see, what is the weirdest disease you have ever worked with?
The weirdest disease.
They're all weird. But we do have to take another very short commercial break, everybody. This is a great conversation that we're having tonight with our guest, healer extraordinaire Chris Kehler, who is going to be with us for the next half hour. If you have a question, be sure to ask it in the chat room, irnchat.com. We will ask it for you. And stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Hello, Inception Radio Network. Would you like your favorite show to be played again live on air? Well, now the choice is in your hands with IRN's live request portal, an easy way to request your favorite show with a simple click. IRN's live request portal now gives you exclusive access to all the shows. How easy is it? Simply type a show name or a guest name, click request, even write a dedication message, and that's it. Try it now. Simply visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com, click on the live request tab under the show menu. Now playing your favorite show is just a mouse click away.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I am your host, Patricia Baker. I am here with my co-host all the way from Tucson, and she's right here next to me.
Yeah, how about that?
PK. And our great guest tonight, Chris Kehler, who is a healer extraordinaire.
Fabulous.
And you were going to talk a little bit about Lucifer, and then we're going to demonstrate how a healing happens. You're going to demonstrate it on PK. So first, Lucifer. Let's find out a little bit more about
So somebody asked about the weirdest disease I've ever worked on. But I want to tell you a story about when I found Lucifer with somebody. So somebody comes into my office. This person had 15 years of pain, ongoing pain in the right side of her abdomen. So the doctors took out her uterus. They did this surgery, gallbladder, did this, did that. She tried this medication, that medication. Nothing would work. She tried herbal stuff. She tried a bunch of different things like meditation. So finally she came to me, and after 15 years, she says, okay, Chris, go crazy. Show me what you do. Let's see if we can find it. So I did a bunch of dowsing, and I found that in her ascending colon was Lucifer. So what I did is I told Lucifer to leave her body. Well, what it did is the pain went from the right side of her body to the left side of her body for the first time in 15 years. She looked at me with these big eyes and said, the pain just moved. What happened? I says, the game is afoot. We're chasing Lucifer. So I chased him around her body, was able to slow him down and told him to leave. And after 15 years of that pain, the pain left. Lucifer was gone. I mean, I've always, in my own consciousness, needed some kind of validation about all this. And that was what really, really validated the concept of all of these negative spirit type things with names, all of these things. I mean, the Bible is religion, but there's things in there, little codes, little secrets that we might need to know about. So I called it Lucifer. If I called it Alan Pope, I don't know, maybe it would have still left. I don't know. But all I know is that when I do remove Lucifer out of people, it does make a difference. And that's where the whole thing goes. Another quick story is a few years ago, my son Joshua was cutting teeth. So it's 2 a.m. and he is in bed screaming his head off. My wife says, okay, Mr. Healer Man, do something. so she looks like, my wife was from the medical institution, worked in a hospital many years. Her mom's a nurse and everything. So she's like, I believe in what you do, but just don't be try and make me, follow it. So I went and asked my charts, and the chart said, ask the Agarthans to wrap him in a blanket of compassion. So I took my pyramid, held it over his head and said, Agarthans, please wrap Joshua in a blanket of compassion. In 1 second, he jumped off the bed, laughing and playing. My wife looked at me and says, I now believe in what you do. I mean, weird diseases, I've seen them all. I've worked with them all, had varying success, lots of good success, if people are willing to stick with it. I have helped a person in Scotland who was a full-blown quadriplegic, no movement from the neck down. After many, many sessions, he could arm wrestle his caregiver and stand for a few seconds. So there was a lot of movement happening, a lot of things going on.
That's
confirmation
huge.
About things. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Gosh.
Fabulous.
Incredible.
Just fabulous.
Yeah. Just incredible. I mean, think about these people's lives he's changing for the better. It's amazing. It's horrible to suffer from any disease, and it just begins to take over your life. But what you're doing is giving people the freedom that we all should have. So, okay, so here we have our subject.
Yes.
PK.
A very willing subject.
Okay. What I need to know is, what is a specific issue that you want alleviated?
A bowel issue, a diarrhea type situation, and or lack of control.
Okay, so I'm going to go to my charts. Here's my charts. Big old bucket charts that I've made, and I'm going to use my letter chart.
Wow.
And Source is going to tell us what is going on. Okay, so I need to ask a question. What problem do we need to work on within PK, please? And it's spelling out that the problem is that within the small intestine is yeast. Okay, now yeast is in everybody. Yeast is crazy, right. And this is a reptilian yeast, so it's not going to react to traditional herbal things to remove yeast. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this lovely device. This is one of my energy tools. It's called the Vesica Pisces. And this is going to amplify my intent and make some changes within your small intestine. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Within PK's small intestine, yeast false. PK's small intestine, yeast false. That's starting to work. You might feel some tingling or heat or some kind of movement of energy. PK's small intestine, yeast false. And just by saying the word false cancels out the frequency. PK, small intestine, yeast. You've got quite a bit of it. I can feel a lot of energy moving. There we go. So that yeast is moving out. Do you feel any sensations at all?
Yeah, I can feel something, but it's not as specific. It's almost like like if you touch something, you feel the hand on it. That type of feeling. There's
going to be multiple levels to this. It's never just one thing. It's never that easy. Okay, so we're going to ask what is next for PK. And it's spelling out that next is here we go. We're going to cut cords with Chi Sun.
That bugger.
Okay. Okay, within PK's digestive system, Chi Sun, false. Chi Sun, please leave into ether. From PK's digestive system, Chi Sun, false. Chi Sun, false. From PK's digestive system, Chi Sun, false. He's now leaving. How does that feel within your gut?
I can feel around the waist, the midsection.
Okay, now, because I know what this character can do, we're going to go into your timestamp of infinite now and cast out Chi Sun. PK's timestamp of infinite now. Chi Sun, please leave into ether. There he goes. Now, here we go. Within PK's soul and DNA, Chi Sun, false. Kaboom, there he goes.
It's interesting. Kimmy just said, whoa, my hip pain is gone. What happened? What did we do? I think she got an ancillary healing.
That happens a lot if I'm doing a radio show.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. People
I'm feeling chills. Are you feeling chills?
Yeah, because I've been sitting here from the trip. I have a hip that they've been talking about replacing, and I keep fighting it. So as I'm sitting here, and it's ached from the long flight yesterday and then today, and all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like it did before.
Check it out.
How about that? That little bugger.
See that?
Okay, let me check one more time. Okay,
and your whole energy changed.
Yeah.
Your whole energy
What
just
is
now
next for PK?
from him working on you.
Next. is we're going to make an intent return the digestive system to. Okay, so basically your digestive system belonged to Chi-Sun. Now we're going to give it back to source so we can get good energy. All right?
Oh, good.
Okay, PK's digestive system, source true. Return PK's digestive system to source. PK's digestive system, source true. Digestive system, source true. There we go. It now belongs to source.
Incredible. Boy, I got a long list of people that are going to be looking for you.
That is incredible, because I've been sitting here watching her energy and what's happening, and I can see a complete change. And also a softening with your energy. You know, because I think when you go through a long trip, you've been traveling, you know, and under stress from that, and I could just see that layers of it coming off of you. Yeah. Being more relaxed.
I'm going to do one more demonstration here. Now, another tool I use, this is called a neutralization ring. Wow. What this does is it pulls out negative energy out of your body. So for a lot of people, if they got a headache, just by putting it close to the head, and I have smaller ones than this for personal use, it might pull the negative energy out that's causing the headache, so it could work very well. Now, for this, anybody who's listening, please stand up. Ladies, if you could please stand up.
Okay, we're standing up.
Okay. Now, place a platinum neutralization ring between PK's feet, Patricia's feet, and anyone who's listening, place a platinum neutralization ring between their feet. Now, I want you to stand very relaxed, and you might feel a very heavy pulling, like a grounding sensation. You might feel very off balance, as if something is pushing you back and forth. Okay. I'm going to take 2 minutes. Let me know when you feel something happening, something moving.
Okay, so we're all standing up. Anybody who wants this treatment in the audience, make sure that you're standing up for it. Oh, and Sandra's here with us, and she just started to move all by herself. And she wasn't drinking, I swear.
I have the iced tea.
Yeah, I can feel like I'm moving backwards and forwards, kind of like Ed Edwards was here.
This is clearing off some energies. It's kind of, by doing the clearings, what I just did, it washes your hands. This is rinsing off your hands.
Can you feel it?
Yeah, I'm moving backwards.
You're moving backwards.
I'm moving off to the side, over to the area that's been the pain.
I'm
shifting that way.
We're all moving.
This is affecting a lot of people because I'm starting to rock.
Yeah.
when I go. Okay. All right. So have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat.
We can't be half fixed.
Okay. We're finished with that. Remove the ring from everybody, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Terrific.
Now, what I'm going to explain is the power of intent. So what I did is I intended that everybody listening has this ring between their feet. Once that's done, because I know the frequency and the energy of the ring, it is now between the feet of people listening, and they're going to feel a clearing happening. So I could take one ring and place it between the feet of 1 million people. They're all going to feel the effects of it. That's all. That's just intent.
Now, you sell these devices on your website?
Yes.
Because somebody was just writing in saying those devices are very cool and they would like to buy them. So you can actually purchase these things from your website.
I have personal sizes of the rings. There are two different types of rings. One's a neutralization ring. Another is a sun ring for broadcasting energies. So there's personal size that are 4-inch, and then these are practitioner size that anybody who does, let's say, Reiki or massage therapy might want to have under their table to help facilitate.
It's incredible, these tools. So you can get them at chriskehler.net, and that's Chris with a C, and then KEHLER.net is your website. And people can also sign up there for private sessions. I know you're very booked, but...
Yes, right now we're booking into January, so everybody please be patient. I get a lot of requests asking for an earlier booking, and I always try to help everybody. I'm not here to stroke my ego or nothing like that. I'm always here to try and get everybody in. If somebody calls me and says that they're dying of cancer, I'm going to do my best to get you in tomorrow, okay? But please just be respectful, and if you book about 5 sessions and the next available date, it'll be worth it, I promise.
Oh, yes.
Chris, all of a sudden I've got a feeling like there's like a little binky up here, like it's a little tight. Does that make sense?
Yes, there is energy moving, and it's going to continue to move for a little bit, probably a couple hours.
Okay, because all of a sudden I'm sitting here and I thought, so I keep thinking those little beanies with the propeller on top, and I'm going to wait a minute.
That's a good feeling, huh?
Well, it feels strange because it's tight, but it's that's
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
You had to get married early, huh?
Sorry.
Oh, way to go.
We have some other comments in the chat room. People are freaking out. They're like, seriously, I feel better, but I don't believe it. That's one of the comments. Other comments, thanks, Chris. Chris reminds me of Merlin.
Yeah,
Merlin.
Right.
And they're saying they move backwards also.
Yep,
So people
we
were
all
feeling,
did. Uh-huh.
the movement was very intense, very powerful.
The whole power behind this is the sacred geometry, which is a universal language. So the geometry itself knows what to do. Now, specifically with this type of pyramid, Vesica Pisces, it is a pyramid. There's 2 pyramids butted together. Now, what this pyramid is designed to do energetically is to facilitate the higher dimensions, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th dimensions, and this represents divine feminine. On the planet now, Gaia, Earth, humanity is in the divine feminine energies. We've shedded all of the masculine energies, and now we're into divine feminines, and I changed my tools to facilitate that. So I was using a traditional pyramid shape before this, and now we've gone to this one in order to work more harmoniously with the new energies that have come in.
Fabulous.
Incredible. Mm-hmm. Now, where is the crystal that you mentioned? Do you have that nearby that we could see that?
That one is at the office. Yeah, that crystal, it's a wonderful piece of iron quartz that I put within this pyramid to help raise the energies.
I remember seeing it when you were doing some work with me. Now, here's another question. This is from John. Wants to know, what material is that device made out of?
This is made of copper rod, very bendable copper rod, and it's coated with 24 karat gold. So it's an iodization of gold. This one here, this is coated in platinum. Now, the gold and platinum are very high in energy, very big transducers of energy, so they work very well in that respect.
That's fabulous.
It's incredible, isn't it?
You are amazing, Chris.
So are you, dear. So are you. As humans, we all have this ability to use your intent, to use your mind, to use your will and say, this is my will, not a reptilian will. We can all do this.
With the reptilian energy, is there any way that we can do things on a daily basis?
Oh, good question.
To just keep our energy free and clear of that?
Now, one thing you can do on a daily basis is to do a neutralization of yourself every day. So if you had one of my small neutralization rings, you could just stand over it, and in 3 minutes, any energies that have attached onto your aura will be taken off before they get into your physical body, before they attach on. So it's like getting something off of your skin before it digs in. So that's one thing you can do. What a lot of people do is they will keep a distance between them and anybody in their life who is reptilian, their personality. So if they're confrontational, if there's somebody who gets ticked off very easily, somebody who's always spewing negative thoughts and negative verbs and that type of thing, you want to stay away from these people, or at least keep a good distance. Yeah, these reptilians, they can't attach onto you once your vibration is that high. Okay, I rarely get hit anymore. I get the odd little, they'll try and get me once in a while, but I notice it, I just get them to go away, and boom, they're gone, basically. So it's a matter of having them in your consciousness. Once you know about them, once you're aware about them, then you know that you can get rid of them. Again, as I said before, if you don't know anything about it, if you're not conscious of it, you can't get rid of it. It's going to be home free.
Amazing.
We want to get rid of it. Are there any good reptilians?
No.
And how can a person know that who they're meeting up with or facing is reptilian?
A lot of people are energy sensitive. Somebody's in your space and you feel you need to back away. There's a good chance that person is trying to attach onto you. Okay, something is trying to, like a virus, trying to affect you. Most people will know. Even people who aren't sentient, people who aren't awakened, will also, if they'll feel like, oh, that person gives me the willies. Something that has a lot of reptilian influence within them.
I'll be darned.
So we got to be on the lookout for that kind of thing.
Trust your body, and number one, trust your heart. Whatever your heart tells you to do, that's what you do. You'll get a feeling in your heart. Is this person good or bad? And you'll be like, oh, no. Then you know that person is not somebody you want to be around on an ongoing basis.
Exactly. Right.
Wonderful.
Yes. Now we have another question. Let's see what it is. Are there any hybrid reptilian mixed with human DNA?
There certainly are. Okay, there's lots of them. And what I see within people with certain health problems, let's say you have very weak lungs. You're always having breathing issues and everything upsets you. Everything causes a problem. There's most likely some reptilian DNA within your lungs. So what I do is just make the intent to remove the reptilian DNA and fill it in with human DNA. Just purify the DNA, then DNA love true, DNA source true, and things start to work better. All of a sudden, a person can breathe. All of a sudden, they realize that their lungs are lighter. Within most of us, probably 90% of everybody on this planet has got some kind of reptilian DNA within them at certain levels. One of the theories I work with is that in a prior existence, we were all some form of reptilian called a Draco, higher level reptilians. And what we did is decided to reincarnate here on Earth so that we can participate in the ascension and go into a higher level of consciousness. Now, in that realm, it's kind of like here on Earth, if you're a member of a gang and you want to leave, they're not going to let you leave without a beating. And now these reptilians are really trying to stop us from going to that level of ascension, that high level of consciousness. So it's a very fine game of spy versus spy in certain ways. It's a very big game of how you can get away with it without getting caught and brought down to that low vibration. Because ultimately you get sick, you have a low vibration. They can continue to feed off of you and attach to you.
Yeah, and it just gets worse from there, that's for sure. Now, we had somebody on the show, David Jacobs. He's one of our favorite people in the world. He's a lovely guy, and he's done a lot of work with UFO abductees and hybrids. According to him, the hybrids are here. They're living in our neighborhoods. They look just like us. Have you ever come across any hybrids that you've treated?
I have a case right now where the person's mother called me and said, "That's not my child." The child went away to work and then came back, and mom says, "That's not my child. What's going on here?" And it looked exactly like her child, but she's like, no, this is not my child. So she contacted some different people and was told that her original child was cloned, and that original child is now within the underground sex trade.
Oh, okay. My God.
Yes.
No, Lord.
So I've seen certain instances like this, and ultimately anybody of extreme hybrid nature is not going to come near me. Okay, they know that if I find them, that they're toast. These types of things have been brought before me, and of course I need to learn a bit about them and find out the validity. First, you have to find out, is this a true story? Is it something made up in their subconscious? Is it an archon trying to trick this person? What is it? Then we can go further with it and come to the full realization and start to work with it. So there is that type of thing going on. I do contact people, colleagues that I work with, and bounce it off their heads, and they say, yeah, this is really going on. I've worked with a lot of people who are operatives in the CIA and doing this kind of research and this kind of work, and some of the stories I've heard are pretty far out there. Even within my limitless paradigm is a hard pill to swallow, but you have to realize that we're certainly not alone. There's certainly things that are messing with us, and at many, many different levels. I mean, if you listen to the internet and everybody says that the Queen and Prince Philip are reptilian, Well, it's like, okay, well, maybe they are. Show me the proof, right?
Right.
And then, of course, you see video of their eyes changing and that type of thing.
Yes.
Of course, how credible is that? You really have to, is it credible? I don't know. For me, until I work with it and come to the realization that it is conscious, that it is something there about it, then all of a sudden the information starts coming in. So there is a lot out there. There's a lot of misleading stuff out there, too. So when you're on the internet, you really got to discern whether that person is credible, whether that person is making up stories just to get likes or whatever. I mean, there's so much going on right now. And whenever I see a UFO story, I'm like, oh, another UFO story. So what? A UFO crashed in Manitoba a couple of years ago. So what? It's a UFO. They're everywhere. Aliens, ET are everywhere. Right. I camped with somebody who, him and his friends, came upon a UFO one day in a field. They're driving a tractor, and they look, and it's like, what the heck is that? And it was a UFO, green mist coming off it, and they all took off. They all saw it, and it was all very close, within like 20 feet away. And it was like, what is this thing? It was a UFO, and they're everywhere. They exist. They're here. They're there. The sun is a huge portal. A lot of very big ships and UFOs come in and out of the sun. It is a portal to different dimensions. Our system is a big hub of space travel. Okay,
well,
so
it
that's
does
why
seem like there's a lot more seen these days, and maybe it's because we have cell phones that take pictures and videos and everything else. Mm-hmm. But it does seem that there's just a lot going on right now. But well, we've come to the end of our time with you, Chris. Unfortunately, it's been so much fun. Oh my gosh. Great knowledge, great information, and a great lesson in limitless thinking. So everybody can go to your website, which is, again, Chris Kehler, KEHLER.net, to either take a class with Chris or set up your own private appointments with Chris. But Chris, we want you to come back. Will you promise to come back, talk to us again?
100%.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Chris.
So much. Shifting the paradigm. We will see you next week. And until then, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night, Chris.